So since I got a little platform, I'm gonna go ahead and use it because a lot of people seem to be misinformed. Kamala Harris is not the better option. Don't be fooled just because she is a woman and she is of color. She is not for the people. And me being from the Bay Area and being around when she was actually running the district attorney's office, let me help you understand what I mean by that.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I got a feeling that this woman is about to cook because you know what the black culture and community hates when they already got their mind made up on one thing. Don't worry. And listen, I want y'all to understand this. And I always like to link back to the content creator. So that link will be back in the description. Also, make sure you get your Teej Hanley 40% off your first order plus 20% off of life. We love what Teej got going on. And then last but not least, make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. We got some great things going in there. So if you want to align yourself with a group of people that's going in the direction that you're going in, make sure you do so. But the thing that black culture hates the most is when you start to provide truth and evidence based off of real life experience and real life understanding. So it's not just based off of emotion anymore. It's not just based off of identity politics. For this conversation, and thank y'all for sending me this. For this conversation, let's remove the entire hue of what a person's color is, race, gender. Let's just throw it all out the window and let's evaluate it based off of them being a person. Fair enough? And then we could come back and review it and see whether or not she was hitting on points or if we should throw her opinion out. Let's get to it.
But being that I am a part of the community of families that are affected by incarcerated people, I am going to go with the person who is less inclined to locking everybody up.
Hmm.
And yeah, I've seen a lot of people saying that they don't know if that's correct. And I seen Yandy make a post saying that a lot of that is just propaganda. Well, let
I
me
don't
help
know who
break it down
Yandy
for
is.
you. Kamala Harris grew up in the Berkeley, Oakland area. She went to law school at Hastings and graduated there and started off as a district attorney in Oakland. From Oakland, she went to Alameda before she went to San Francisco. Do
Hmm.
y'all remember in 2010 there was that big drug lab scandal with Deborah Madden and the San Francisco Police Department? I remember specifically because I had two cases involved in that scandal. Let me help
Hmm.
fill you in. She was the head district attorney at the time, and right under her was a guy named Gascon, something like that. He used to be a district attorney in Los Angeles when they had that big old scandal going on with a bunch of police misconduct.
It's different when you in it, right? She said she had two cases tied into it. And so, you tend to remember all of the details and the names and to be able to communicate it effectively. And from what I could see right now, she's a very effective communicator. She don't stutter. She's not a C student like me. So I might have to break it down from a C student's perspective. But let's get into it. It's different when you actually was in it.
Anyhow, around that time, he was reviewing police files for misconduct, and he was basically telling her that there's no policy in place and there needs to be one for
Mm.
any time there's police misconduct. It needs to be reported to the lawyers and the judges on the case. She ignored him. Now, after she ignores his advice that there needs to be policies in place, that way they can curb any type of misconduct that's going on in these cases, it comes out that there's this big drug scandal in the drug labs. Deborah Madden, she was the lead technician in the drug labs.
She know all of the names and everything.
And it had been reported several times to their office that this woman had an issue and that she shouldn't be testifying in anybody's cases. She was touching the drugs, she was stealing the drugs, she was sneaking the drugs. It was just a bunch of bullshit. All of that was hidden from the attorneys and the judges on the cases. Do you know how it came out? It came out because Deborah Madden's family finally took it to the news. And once it became public, then Kamala Harris tried to say that she didn't know anything about it. Yes, you did. Now, keep in mind, Deborah Madden's family also reported that they had already been contacting the district attorney's office for months prior to this, before coming to the news channel, to let them know that there was misconduct going on, and they were also concerned about their family member, all of which got ignored. Now, keep in mind, she was head district attorney at the time. So how are you running an entire department and you claim to not know what's going on in your office, although that was later proven to be bullshit and that she was aware, and her colleagues gave her up on that. But
That's crazy. So now we can throw out the whole myth, and I'm gonna break it down from a C student's perspective, as expected. Now we can throw out the whole myth that, oh man, she didn't lock up people. She didn't lock up black people, even though the majority of the people that she was serving, as far as the district attorney, because you're being paid by the taxpayers, are people that are black. And this woman specifically is saying that she was one of the people that was affected. And it was the lab technician. Okay, so let me break this down so y'all really understand what's going on. Big scandal back when Kamala Harris, aka Chameleon Harris, was making her bones in order to set the standard as the platform in order for her to eventually level up and become president of the United States of America, because we got great aspirations, right? And in order for her to make their bones, just like other prosecutors, there are some good prosecutors, there are some bad ones, but just like other prosecutors, they would rather make cases than make sure that they're prosecuting the right people in the right cases and they're doing things by the book and by the law. And so when there was this big lab scandal where basically evidence was being tampered with, used, and all of this stuff, they still pushed forward and they acted like nothing ever happened, even though the district attorney's office was being contacted and it was telling them, hey, listen, all of these people that y'all prosecuting, y'all doing it wrong and y'all messing up people's lives. And they're falsifying evidence and all of this other type of stuff. And so this woman should not be testifying on behalf of anybody else's cases because it may or may not be true. But Kamala Harris ignored it. And the theory is that she ignored it because it continued to press forward and then make her look good, which will ultimately make her eventually a politician. She goes from the district attorney's office to being a politician, and she can say, oh no, I was hard on crime. No, you were falsely putting people in prison and jail, according to what a lot of these people are saying. And so now that she's running for president of the United States of America, because she didn't have to go through a vetting process, she didn't go through the primary, she didn't get wiped and absolutely destroyed in debates like she did in 2019, but they just put her in here as a DEI, a diversity, equity, and inclusion hire because she didn't have to actually do anything. People are starting to come out, especially women. Black women are the ones that's at the forefront of this movement, and it's a division between people that are on code and people that aren't on code because people are saying, listen, I am directly affected by some of the stuff that she did when she was holding this position in office. Let's hear what else you got to say.
She just chose to withhold the information from the judges and the attorneys on those cases. And what was her reasoning behind that? She wanted to keep as many people locked up as she could, no matter if that case was mishandled, if there was misconduct to get that conviction or not. And she knew that if that misconduct got out, that was grounds for dismissal. And
Integrity, honesty, locking up black people.
let's talk about Kevin Cooper. Do y'all remember him? That's the man that was hours away from his execution, and DNA had now became a thing, and his lawyers asked for the execution to be stopped and his DNA to be tested so it could possibly prove his innocence. She denied it and didn't want it to happen. However, Governor Newsom stepped up and said, no, let's go ahead and test his DNA, and come to find out, I'll be damned, it was not a match.
Now imagine if this guy's life had got taken. Because I don't like Gavin Newsom either. But I guess that at some level, even if you're not a person that actually do the thing that's in the best interest of the people, you got to have a heart. And at certain levels and certain things that you wouldn't skip past. And if it's a possibility that this guy is innocent and you don't want somebody's life to be taken and him to be falsely executed as a result of it, wouldn't you see that through? But this is the woman that y'all want in office? Maybe she is more sinister than we thought.
Oh, wait, let's not forget when she actually made it a crime and parents started getting charged with their children being truant. But when they ran the numbers, they realized that this mostly affected Pacific Islanders, Native Americans, African Americans, children with disabilities, and foster children. And then she later tried to say it was an unintended consequence when she realized that parents were actually getting arrested for this. It was up to a $2,000 fine, up to a maximum of a year in county jail, and people were losing their welfare benefits because their children were truant from school. Unintended consequence. And those were her exact words. Like, what do you mean? You're the one that put this in place. And then when you were confronted,
I would love for somebody to ask her these questions. You think that they're going to ask her these questions? Nah.
With it, after people were outraged that parents were actually being arrested for this, now you want to back up and say, oh, it was an unintended consequence. Well, what the hell did you think it was going to be? A scare tactic? And I know y'all already heard this one, but I'm going to go ahead and reiterate it. What was it, about 1,900 people that were arrested for smoking marijuana? Not selling, smoking marijuana. Like, get out of here. You're doing everything that you can to just lock people up and ruin their lives. So yeah, while I'm not a fan of this whole political
Nothing else needs to be said. I mean, especially for a woman that claims and falsely claimed and lied about smoking trees to Snoop and Pac in the 80s when she was in college. Nothing else need to be said. I'm curious as to what y'all think. I think that it's absolutely good that people are starting to speak up and have a conversation about what's really happening in these streets, because this is the person that ultimately is supposed to be on code. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Again, make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Can't wait to read these comments.